right, let's open this bad boy up. You know, this never gets old. I love peeling off that first paper and seeing it a crisp new machine. So this is the new sky blue color, and I like it. It's very subtle. I thought it would be bluer. I guess it depends also on the light. Like if I keep it, like if I hold it like this and I have the light from behind me, it's almost silver. It's almost like a silver, like the old school silver. But then when you tilt it a little, it's really clearly like this baby blue almost. But I like it. It's a nice color. And also it really does not seem to have any kind of fingerprints, which if you're a little OCD like me, then this is a big deal. I bought the midnight color like 2 models ago. I love that color. I think it looks great, but it was driving me insane. I was just spraying it and cleaning it all damn day. Such a nightmare. So this is definitely much, much better for somebody like me. Yeah, I'm color approved for sure. All right, let's see first what else is in a box. We have our manuals. I'm not expecting any stickers. I think they phased that out a while ago. I don't think there's any stickers in any products anymore. I mean, I've never really been a sticker person myself, but I know a lot of people care about those, and it's a nice little touch, you know, so it's a pity that they're not there anymore. And then we have the charging brick. This is a European one, in case you're wondering why the prongs are long like this. This is a 35-watt USB-C adapter with a dual USB-C port. So that's good. And I also like this. This is a nice touch too. This cable, I don't know if you can see it, but it is not white. It is actually also slightly bluish. So I guess they wanted to match that with the new color. It is the MagSafe cable. You know, I don't really ever use this MagSafe cable. I don't know why, I just never do. I think it's because these days everything charges with USB-C. So I like to keep one charger and a couple of cables with me, all USB-C. So I never end up using this. But actually I'm thinking I should be using it. One, because this laptop has only the 2 Thunderbolt ports. We'll probably get back to that in a little bit. So I might as well keep those free for other things, but also because we have 3 kids, and this is kind of the type of laptop that you would use on the couch, or, you know, leave on a coffee table or something like that. The last thing you want is your toddlers yanking on a cable and destroying this fresh new laptop. So having something that comes off really easily is probably a better idea. Oh, by the way, I was mentioning these USB-C ports are actually Thunderbolt ports, and contrary to the previous model, so the 2024 MacBook Air, these are Thunderbolt 4 ports, and it doesn't matter that much in terms of speed. They're about the same speed, but what it does mean is that you can actually drive 2 6K monitors with this thing, both at 60 Hertz, I think. But you can also open it up, and now it's just turning on. You can also open it up and use this screen as well. So you have 3 screens that you can use, which wasn't the case with the 2024 model. So that's a nice little extra, especially if you like to keep this open. You have like basically a 3rd monitor, and you know, it's like 1 less dongle that you'll need to use. A lot of displays these days have Thunderbolt or USB-C, so those ports will come in super handy for that. And here we go, ready to go. So let me go and set this up really quick, and then we'll have a closer look at all the stuff that is new with this thing. And also, I'll explain to you the reason why this time I actually didn't pick the absolute base model. Usually I do review the base model because I know that for a lot of MacBook Air buyers, that's the most attractive option, it's the cheapest one. And you know, when you're looking for an Air, you're probably not looking for a super high spec model anyway. This time I did give it a bit of a spec bump for a very specific reason, but I'll explain that later on in the video. Let's ramble.
Hold up, things go wild when I pull up. They all on me like it wants.
So guys, this one here, this is last year's M3 model with only 8 gigabytes of RAM, or unified memory, whatever. 8 gigabytes of RAM in 2025 isn't a lot. It's actually not enough in my opinion. And as much as I hate to see it, this does kind of turn this into like a web browsing couch, light office use kind of machine. Plus, these machines go into memory swap pretty quickly. So I'm really, really happy that on these new 2025 models, even the absolute base model starts at 16 gigabytes. And this new model, which again starts at 16 gigs, not 8, is $100 cheaper than the old model. So this one goes for $999 and this one was $1,099 last year. So you get more machine for less money. That's very unlike Apple, let's be honest, but hey, I'll take it. Anyway, this thing is also ready to run Apple Intelligence, although don't even get me started on that. Please, Apple, stop calling it a feature until it actually works. This new model has Wi-Fi 6E still, not Wi-Fi 7. It's a bit of a bummer, but on the other hand, I mean, this is a MacBook Air, so I doubt that most users of this type of MacBook are gonna really care about 6E versus 7. It doesn't make a huge difference on a day-to-day basis. While this is running, actually looking at all these headphones here, like 80% of them are Bluetooth headphones, and that reminds me that this thing actually still has a port, a 3.5 millimeter jack, which I think for a lot of people is good news. For some reason, people still love to connect their headphones with a cable. I'm 100% team Bluetooth. You know, even for video editing, it used to be in the past that, you know, I had to plug it in, otherwise there would be a lot of latency. These days, there barely is any latency. It's like a fraction of a second. It's really not gonna matter. But yeah, if you're very attached to your wired headphones, pun not intended, this is good news for you. Oh, what I do really like, and let me just get this camera a bit closer. What you'll see there is that the mute button now actually has a slash through it. And you might think that doesn't matter. Why is that important? It's important, okay? Trust me. Because if you're a little bit OCD like I am, that stuff bothers me no end. See there? No slash, unacceptable. Well, maybe while we're waiting, a couple of other things, couple small differences between these two machines. This new one is a 13.6-inch liquid retina display, and I'm looking at my notes here, with 2560 by 1664 resolution, as opposed to 13.3-inch liquid retina display with a resolution of 2560 by 1600, which is a bit lower. So that means that this one is not only a little bit larger, but also a little bit crisper. And that's, of course, again, very welcome, because as far as I can see, the body of this thing isn't much bigger. It's not bigger at all, actually. So it's really just a screen, which probably means that they've shrunken down the bezels a little bit. Unfortunately, this thing is still capped at 500 nits, which isn't a lot, as you probably know. Most phones have like triple that. I think the MacBook Pro has like 1,000 sustained, and then like up to 1,600 in peak brightness. So 500 really isn't a lot. You can already see it inside, but if you take it outside, if you think you're gonna go in the summer, you know, sit down in a coffee shop outside and do a bit of work, this is not gonna be great. On the flip side, it is of course a lot easier on the battery to have a dim display like that. And if you look at the small body, the battery on an Air model is obviously a lot smaller than on the Pro model. So if they would make this display just as bright as on a Pro model, it would probably rip through the battery in just a couple of hours. By the way, I'm a big fan of the fingerprint scanner. This is definitely my favorite way of logging in. I used to log in with my Apple Watch. There's a setting which basically unlocks your computer as soon as you sit down. Recently, I've been getting into mechanical watches again a little bit, so I don't really wear my Apple Watch that often, and this is definitely the next best thing. Now, if the battery on this thing does die, of course there are ways to keep it topped up, like this battery bank by our sponsor, Sharge. The MacBook Air supports fast charging via its USB-C port with a maximum charging speed of 70 watts. So obviously you're going to need a beefy power bank, and if you're going to use a power bank to charge your shiny new MacBook Air, you might as well do it in style. The Shargeek 170 might just be the coolest looking power bank I've ever seen. With its 170 watts output, super fast PD 3.1 charging, and 24,000 milliamp hour battery capacity, it can easily charge my MacBook Air plus two other devices like my phone and my tablet using the two USB-C ports and one USB-A port. But it also has a low current mode, so you don't ever have to worry about overcharging your low current devices like your earbuds or your smartwatch. What's cool about this thing though is that even though it's so powerful, it's still airline safe, so you can bring it on flights with you, no problem. I'm a huge fan of the exposed look, showing all the tech inside, and the display is incredibly useful, showing exactly how much juice is flowing in and out, and it even shows the remaining recharging time. time. Because of the prism shape, it will stay put on any desk or table with the display always perfectly visible. Oh, and it has an IP66 rating, so if you ever do spill your coffee on it, you're fine. If you want to pick one of these up for yourself, there will be links in the description below the video. Alright, so one thing I really wanted to test is the webcam on this thing. The webcams on the previous models, as you probably know, have been absolute trash, almost to a point where they're unusable in my opinion. But this new 2025 model is actually fitted with a 12 megapixel camera, which should be giving us a lot better quality. So let's go to QuickTime and do a quick mock video call. I know there is a quality setting somewhere and we should probably, yeah, so we change that to maximum. Obviously we need to give this camera the maximum quality to have a fair assessment. And I mean, it looks fine. It's a lot better than the previous MacBook Air, that's clear. Enough to do like a quick client call or, you know, a chat with family. Obviously still nothing spectacular. This is still a 1080p camera. There's a lot better webcams out there that you could use on top of this thing. But yeah, this is perfectly fine, perfectly acceptable quality for a quick call in a hotel or something. The next thing I wanted to do is a quick speed test. So let me just download Blackmagic speed test really quick. Whoa, it's giving me like 3,400 megabytes per second in write speed, fluctuating 3,400, and then about the same in read speed. So let's say 3,000 on average. That is pretty impressive for a MacBook Air. All right, so I mentioned in the beginning that I did not go for the base model this time. I did upgrade it a little bit. So what I did was I upgraded it to the 512 gigabyte SSD storage. That's $200 more. But what that also does is it gives you a bump in GPU. So you get 10 cores GPU instead of 8 cores. It is basically included in the higher storage option, which makes that upgrade to me almost a no-brainer. And the next thing I did was I bumped the RAM or unified memory from 16 to 24 just to have a little bit more overhead, which I think will be useful for video editing from my personal use case. And that brings the grand total to $1,399, which is still pretty reasonable considering all you're getting. And let's not forget, this thing has the M4 chip. And the reason why I made those upgrades is that I actually think I'll be able to get away with doing a lot of the stuff I would normally do on my MacBook Pro, like video editing pretty heavy 4K timelines. Now, for my full review, I want to see exactly how far I can push this machine until I start missing my M4 Max MacBook Pro, or if I'm going to miss my M4 Max MacBook Pro. Because if this thing can replace most of my daily tasks at this price and this fanless, super lightweight form factor, I think we actually might be looking at Apple's most attractive purchasing option in terms of laptops this year. So yeah, if you want to follow along for the ride, a sub to the channel would be really appreciated. If you like the video, do give it one of these. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next one.